Hi guys, this is Mrs. Warren. So this is Sunday night. We have been away from each other for about 6 weeks. This is week 7 that we're starting in our virtual learning. I really miss you guys. I wish that we could be together in the classroom doing things like normally. Unfortunately, that is not going to be the case. So one of the things I did to help you guys with your virtual learning is I shot a video of myself going into Clever and then into Schoology and then into the course, that reading, and then into week 7's work, and I'm still waiting for it to totally upload, and then I will share that to Class Dojo. However, I wanted to go ahead and do my next video telling you guys a little bit about what we're doing this week, and then go into reading the next chapter of Guest. So I know that for some of you guys, technology is not an option. Either it's not working or you don't have it. The district mailed out work packets with about 5 weeks of work, 5 weeks worth of work, starting with 5th graders. So hopefully you'll be getting that soon. And if you are not able to do anything with technology, then you can always work in your work packet, take pictures, and you can send them to me with a text. You can send them to me email. You can send them to me on Class Dojo. So when kids go into Schoology, I have a contact page that gives my phone number and my email. And so for those of you that can't get into Schoology, let me go ahead and show you that. So my cell phone number is 832-566-0344, and you can get a message or a picture to me at any time. My email is crwarren@aldinisd.org, and that's where you can send me whatever you need to send me by email if you wish to do that. Okay? So that's just another way if you can't use technology to get into work. Let's see. If you can use technology but you're still having a hard time getting into Clever, the district said that and I know some kids are still telling me this isn't working, but your username should be your first initial, last initial, and your lunch number. And then at aldinisd.org, your password is your initials, first and last, plus your birth date. And so mine would be CW 10/02/1966. Okay? So that's that if you are not sure of how you could have gotten into Clever. I know that one of the things, and if you're able to see the video that I'm going to put on Class Dojo, I took a picture of Scarlett's Clever badge because I know that she and her mom told me she wasn't able to get into anything. I took a picture of her badge and I used that picture on my phone to actually log into Clever on my laptop, and then from there I got into Schoology. So if any of you think that might work and you want me to send you a picture of your Clever badge, you can just dojo me that or send me a text or send me an email, and I'll do that for you, and you can try. I'm not saying that that will definitely work, but it's worth a try. I also know that some students and parents have gone to the Aldine ISD website and they have gone to reset their password. Of course, you need to reset their username and their password, but you have to make sure that you type in the one you used in school correctly, and then they will let you reset it. Hey, Emmy. So there goes my daughter with the cat that wanted to go in. I don't think we have any cats outside right now. Do we have any cats outside right now? Oh, we do. Which cat do we have outside? Oh, we have one cat outside, so if she comes out on the catwalk, then I'll show you. Got the dog, but she's still kind of hanging back. She's like, I don't think I want to be on camera. All right, anyways, let me talk a little bit about this week, especially if you're not able to get into Clever. So we have two big assignments. One of them is writing about a small moment. So I still need to get into Clever. I think I'm going to do it right after this. And I need to write my example of a small moment. It's writing something really good that happened to you, but then not writing about the whole day, just writing about the one event. So there was a time where my husband surprised my sons and myself at the zoo. He was working on weekends, and of course we didn't think he was going to be able to come, and then he got out of work early somehow, and then he showed up. And that was such a really cool, great moment that's the one that I'm choosing to write about. You guys will get a chance to brainstorm and then come up with a great moment that you would like to write a lot about. And the main thing is to put in as many details as you can about that moment so that we can see what was happening through your descriptions, okay? It's not writing about the whole day or even the whole, like for me, the zoo visit. It's just about that moment and how great it was and kind of capturing all the details of that moment, okay? So that's one of the major things we're working on. The other one we're working on is creating a home journal. For those of you that can get into Schoology, the pages are going to be in there digitally when you get into this week's coursework. For those of you that cannot do technology, then you can use a small notebook like I have, or you can use a large notebook, or you can even just use paper. And again, I'm going to put the details of the assignments in Class Dojo, and then you can work on them. If you have technology, they're already in there in Schoology. You just go into week 7, and then you'll be able to access everything. Okay? And we have assignments that are going to tell you the different kinds of journal entries that you can do. I'm not going to try to make this video too long because I want to get into the reading of Guest, which I haven't done for a bit. Let me see. I've already talked about that. Okay. And that looks like about everything else that I wanted to talk about before I started reading the story. So I believe the last chapter I read was chapter 13, I want to say. Yes. So then that means we should be starting with, I think, chapter 14. Let's see. Okay. All right, cool. All right, so chapter 14. And if I've already done chapter 14, sorry, but this is where I think we are. So here I go. Thomas was heavier than I expected. Oh, I guess I should tell you that the last thing that happened, if you remember, is that Molly was able, with the help of Iceland, to free her brother. And so they're going on the way to take him back home. Okay? Thomas was heavier than I expected. My arms ached from the weight of him. I stumbled and staggered on the hillside, slipping on the mossy earth but hurrying on. Terrified of hearing the kind folks' laughter, turned to curses when they discovered that their tithe was gone. Remember, they were going to offer her brother up as a sacrifice to the Dark Lord, you know, kind of the evil bad guy that gave them their powers. Okay? Molly, let me help you. My dog appeared from the trees and took Thomas from me. Hurry, the horses are waiting on the path. From behind me came a cry, and then another, and yet another. I ran faster, the hood from my cloak falling back, but all that mattered now was staying as close as possible to my dog and Thomas. When we finally broke out of the forest, I saw Aiden sitting on a dappled stallion, which is a type of horse. Beside him, looking pitifully small and helpless, Guest perched atop a dark mane. My dog vaulted to the back of the biggest one of all, a black stallion, almost a match for the puka, and set Thomas in front of himself. I mounted the mare in front of Guest, and he wrapped his arms around me. Glad for the times Dado had let me ride his big plow horse, I dug my heels into the mare's sides, and off we went. Leading the way, Medog galloped ahead. Although the night was dark and the air dense with fog and mist, the horses neither faltered nor stumbled, but almost flew through the dripping trees. Medog heard the kind folk first. "They're coming!" At his urging, our horses ran even faster. And yes, I soon heard them too, a pounding of hooves in the distance, shouts and cries of rage, the yelping of hounds. It was the wild hunt led by the Queen. I pictured her face, hard as snow in the winter. She would show us no mercy. Guest whimpered. His arms held me tightly, his head pressed against my back. He was scared, but I had no time to comfort him. Aiden cursed. "Is this what you wanted?" he shouted at Medog. "To be captured and tortured and killed like dogs? And all for a changeling and a mortal girl." I think I have already read this chapter, but since I got started, I'm just going to keep going. So if you have to fast forward to chapter 15, sorry about that. Medog ignored him and urged the stallion to run faster. Behind us, the kind folk drew nearer. Their hounds bayed. Our horses galloped so fast the forest was a dark blur of trees, a tunnel in which we were trapped. Aiden was right to blame me. Had I watched my tongue in the garden, had I not taken the locket, Thomas and I would be safe with Mam and Dado instead of riding to our deaths in the dark lands. But where would Guest be? So again, we know that Molly's relationship with Guest has really changed because now she's truly concerned about him and really cares about him, almost like as if he were a little brother. Oh yeah, and I do see one of my cats kind of looking out on the perch. Chloe! Chloe! I'll show you to her, although she's not turning around. She's up there. She's kind of hanging out. No, she's the strange one. She really kind of likes to be alone. All right, let me continue. Let's see. The hounds were upon us, dark, long, and lean, red-eyed and sharp-toothed, more like shadows than actual dogs. They nipped at the horses' legs, leapt at their throats, and tried to pull us to the ground. And then the Queen arrived. She silenced the hounds. They crouched at her feet, tense with the longing to tear us to pieces. At any moment, one of them would sink his teeth into my leg and drag me from my horse. Guest would fall with me, my stomach clenched with fear. Medog turned his horse to face the Queen. Thomas slept in his arms, his head lolling to the side. Aiden and I flanked Medog. It terrified me to be this close to the Queen. I kept a brave face, but my heart beat so loudly she must have heard it. Behind me, Guest shook so hard my own body trembled. Sorry. "Give me the boy," the Queen commanded, "and I'll let the rest of you go. He's what I want. You mean nothing to me or mine." Medog held my sleeping brother tighter. "I cannot do that. I've given my word to take him to his true parents." "Giving your word to mortals means nothing. They mean nothing." "That may be true for you and your kind, but for me and my kind, it means much." "Speak for yourself, Medog," Aiden snarled. "Give her the boy. What do you care what they do with him?" "I have made an oath to Cernunnos, the Queen said. "An oath that cannot be broken. When he comes tomorrow, he expects to receive his tithe. If he does not, he will scatter us like dead leaves. Do you wish to see the end of us?" Medog stared into the Queen's eyes. "Truly, I care not a whit what happens to you and yours. You are a cruel and deceptive people. I hope the Dark Lord does indeed scatter you like dead leaves across the land." The Queen stood in her stirrups. Her warriors raised their spears, and the hounds bared their teeth. "Medog, you are a fool!" Aiden reached for Thomas, but Medog tightened his grip. "Give him to her!" Whip in hand, the Queen came closer. "The boy must be sacrificed. We have no other mortal to use in his place." As she raised her whip to strike Medog, he grabbed it from her. At the same moment, his horse reared and the Queen fell to the ground. Unhurt, she sprang to her feet, her face twisted with rage. "How dare you, Medog! I will have all of you killed, starting with the girl." All the beauty was gone from her. Her face had the hardness of bone, and her eyes had sunk. had shrunk deeply into their sockets. Her fingers were sharp-clawed as a hawk's talons. Turning to me, Madog thrust a heavy pouch into my hands. "Open it and throw the contents at them. Be quick!" I fumbled with the cord and then hurled the sack at the kindfolk. Its contents exploded in a flash of lightning. Small iron balls shot into the kindfolk crowded around us. Sorry. Okay. Sorry, I lost my place. Okay. They screamed in pain and tried to shield themselves. Horses rose on their hind legs and their riders fell from their backs. Many lay still on the ground. Others turned their horses and galloped back the way they'd come. Riderless horses followed them. The hounds scattered, howling in agony. Untouched by the iron balls, the queen mounted her horse. "Curses on you, Madog," she screamed. "May you die the death of the miserable cur you are." Still shouting, she rode after her warriors. "Go!" Madog cried to Aiden and me. "Go!" Our 3 horses ran through the forest, leaping streams, striking sparks from stone, traveling with a speed no mortal horse could match. It was as if I rode the Pookas back again. At any moment, I expected to soar above the trees. When we put a great distance between us and the queen, Madog slowed the horses to a walk. "Is it safe to go slowly?" I asked. The baying of the hounds still rang in my ears, and I couldn't believe we truly left them behind. Or the queen. Her angry face hung in my memory like a death mask. "The queen's huntsmen are in pain from the iron. They're not fit to pursue us," he smiled. "Even the kind folk have their weakness." "It's lucky you got such noble horses for us," I said. "Wherever did you find them?" He winked. "That's not for you to know." "Tell the truth, Madog. You stole them from the kind folk. You must have. No mortal horses can run as fast as these." "They are indeed a rare breed." He patted the stallion's neck. "And that's all I have to say on the matter." "And what about the sack of the iron balls?" I asked. "How did you come upon that?" "You ask too many questions, Molly-O. I'm certain you know the fate of curious cats." He smiled. "And remember, unlike them, you have only 1 life, not 9. Thomas moaned and lay back against Madog's chest. His face was pale, his closed eyes heavy with sleep. Thinking he had a bad dream, I leaned toward him to smooth his tangled curls. Madog stopped me. "Don't wake him. Perhaps sleep will restore him to the boy he once was." "But what if the boy he once was is gone forever?" "It may take time. He's been with the kind folk nearly all his life. You must be patient, Molly." We rode on in silence. From the soft warmth of his body, I knew Guest slept as deeply as Thomas. I'd never been so weary in my life, but I too was worried to let myself sleep. I glanced at Aiden, who rode alone, looking straight ahead, his face no happier than usual. "I'm so glad to be safe from the queen," I said. "Aren't you?" Aiden glanced at me. "We won't be safe until the Dark Lord destroys their power and makes them mortal like us. They'll have no home. They'll be beggars and thieves, hated wherever they go." "But what of Iceland and Duatha? Will that be their fate?" Aiden turned his face away. "I know not, nor do I care. Lady Duatha should not have lain with Madog." "You have a hard heart, Aiden." "At least I'm not stupid." "I'd rather be stupid than heartless." "Well, then you have your wish, don't you?" With that, he tapped the horse's sides with his heels and rode away. Behind me, Guest stirred restlessly, half awake, but Thomas slept on. Madog hummed softly and guided the stallion gently so as not to wake him. No one spoke to me, and I spoke to no one. It was a long, silent ride. Okay, so I'm going to stop here, but as I can see, chapter 14 was a repeat, so in my next video, which I'm about to start, it's going to be with chapter 15. Okay? Bye-bye, guys. See you in a bit.